Hi, I'm Jade from the Saddle Bank, and today I'm here with Bella and we're going to go through a 6-step saddle check with you. So this video is not intended to replace the advice or regular appointments with your saddle fitter. However, it is designed to help you learn a little bit more about saddle fit and enable you to recognise the signs when something's not correct with your saddle and actually get your fitter out sooner than just waiting for you every 6 months if you notice something isn't quite right. So the first point we're going to look at is the width and the angle of the width. So what we're looking at here is the point of the tree. So the point of the tree is this part here. If you lift your flap up, you'll be able to see it there. And what we want to do, because obviously that, again, that is a solid part of the tree. This part here moves, that's not so much of an issue, but the solid part of the tree is what can impact your horse's comfort. So it's really important that the angle of the tree, of the width of the tree, follows the line of the horse's back here. So we want to make sure that that angle of the horse is in line with the width. Now, if the saddle is too narrow, it's going to be pinching your horse inside here, and if it's too wide, it's going to drop down the front of the saddle. And again, that's going to be causing pressure points at the top of the withers. So it's really important that we check the width is correct. So the second point we're going to look at is we're actually going to still be checking the width of the saddle essentially and the balance throughout the saddle. So what we're looking at here is we want to make sure that the saddle's nice and balanced throughout. It's not sitting upright and it's also not tipping down. Now, if I put my weight and pressure on the front, I'm not getting any lifting at the back. If this saddle was too wide, what would happen is if I push down here, the back will be lifting like this, and that's an indication that the saddle's too wide for the horse. If alternatively your saddle was sitting up like this and actually putting the rider's weight too far back in the saddle, that would be indicating that the saddle is too narrow for the horse. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the gullet bar in the saddle and we're going to show you it's sitting too narrow and too wide on her. So I've now fitted a bar in the saddle that's too wide for Bella. So this is one size bigger than she currently has. So we're not going to see a huge amount of movement, but we are going to see some movement. So again, I'm going to push down the front and you can just see the saddle is lifting at the back now. Now, if the saddle was nice and balanced and correct width for her, that wouldn't happen. So if your saddle does lift at all at the back, when you push on the front, it could be an indication that it is too wide. So to show you a saddle that's too narrow, what I've done is I've changed the gullet bar in this from a wide to a narrow medium. So I'm going to pop that on her back. And as you can see here, it's actually tipping backwards like this. So the rider's weight is going to sit here, and what would happen is all the pressure would go here. It's also going to pinch her at the front here because it's too narrow, and we've got absolutely no connection with her back in the middle at all. So we've got lightness here through the panel. So we're going to get pressure at the front and pressure at the back, and the rider is going to feel like they are tipping backwards. They're going to really struggle to get out of the saddle in rise and trot because the saddle wants to put them too far back. So the third point what we're going to be looking at is the wither clearance. So what we're looking for essentially is making sure that we've got enough gap between the horse's withers and the saddle here. Now, a lot of people will use 4 fingers as an indication as there's sufficient clearance. However, if you've got a high withered horse, you're not always going to achieve that 4-finger clearance. But what's important to make sure is that you do always have that clearance, first of all now, while statically checking the saddle without it being girthed up, when it's been girthed up, and also when the rider's on board. We always need that clearance down the channel there. And the second point on this particular check is to also check either side of the withers, because there is a lot of sensitive nerves either side of the withers as well. So it's really important to run your hands like this along the horse's spine and just to feel either side to make sure that you've got clearance from the panels either side. And Fairfax have a real generous clearance either side of the withers, so it's really great and really comfortable for Bella. So the fourth check we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we've actually got clearance all the way down the saddle. So I'm going to pop my hand through here into the channel and just make sure we can feel that the panels are not impeding on the spine at all the way down, and making sure again that we've got clearance from the saddle to the spine all the way through. We don't want anything touching at all. And we're also going to check that at the back of the saddle. It's really important, again, that you've got that space either side of the spine and the panels are not sitting on the spine itself. So the fifth check we're going to do is make sure that we've got no blockages down the side of the panel here. So I'm going to pop my hand in and then I'm just going to run my hand along the panel and just make sure that there is nothing blocking her through her scapula or anywhere under here. So the final check we're going to do is we're going to check that there's no bridging or lightness through the panel. So what we do is we pop our hand up here and then the other hand onto the saddle with a little bit of pressure, and we're just going to feel all the way along. So we're feeling to make sure that there is no bridging in there. So bridging essentially means it's touching the horse here and nothing in the middle or very light. We're also checking there's no blockages as well. For example, if you find the back of your saddle's really digging in there and you can't quite get your hand through, that is going to cause muscle wastage here over a long period of time. So it's really important that we make sure that you've got a nice smooth feel throughout the whole panel when you do this. So if you notice any issues with any of the points we've discussed in this video with your saddle, it is really important to make sure you get your local saddle fitter out to check the fit of the saddle for you. Horses do change shape regularly, they don't stay the same. Everything can affect them: food, grass conditions, workload, lots of different factors can actually affect the fit of the saddle. So it's really important to keep an eye on this yourself. And if you do notice something, call your fitter out straight away. To learn more about saddle fit, please do check out our website, saddlebank.com.